rest, taking so long that they feared her sisters would start to fuss. "I did it," Camille said, as her eyes began to close. "I survived. And now my reign is over." When she woke, the 3 bassinets were gone, whisked away by Willa to the nursery down the hall. In their place was a chair, and slumped down on it, snoring softly, was her king consort, Philippe. Sweet Philippe. He had won her hand in the hunt of the stags, when she could not choose her favorite from the suitors that the errands approved of. Sometimes she thought it was the only bit of luck that the goddess ever gave her. Though he had little power in the face of the errands, he had loved Camille well, and a life away from the island with him was all she had ever looked forward to. When her triplets came after only 7 years of her rule, she was overjoyed. They would leave now, and trade the island for the world. Out there she would be just a woman, free to make her own path. All she had to give up was her crown, and that she had already torn off her head and thrown during the births. Camille looked around the room. Willa had done a fine job of cleaning while she slept. The bloody cloths and trays of sharp knives were gone. The cloths burned, and the knives returned to storage in case the next queen's birth was not so lucky, and the triplets needed to be cut out. Mellow incense smoke cleared the stench of sweat and labor, and she had set a warm, crackling fire in the fireplace. Outside, the December night was dark. Only the faintest hint of moonlight reflected across the snowdrifts. Camille gingerly swung her leg over the edge of the bed and winced. She took a moment to collect herself, held her sagging, empty belly with one arm, and swung the other until she stood. Her vision wavered, and for a moment she feared Philippe would wake to the sound of her collapsing on the floor. But the weakness passed. She slipped a blanket around her shoulders like a shawl and walked out. "Where are you going, my love?" Philippe, more awake than she had thought, grasped her wrist softly as she passed. "You should be resting. We have a long journey tomorrow." His eyes lingered on her pale face, and then on the floor, and on the small trail of dripped blood she left behind. She patted him, and he let go. His heavily lidded eyes blinked shut. He was, even after years on the island, still a mainland man, and trusted that she must know best about these women's mysteries. "I am only going to look in on them." "Shall I go with you?" She shook her head. Philippe was a strong consort, but he was too soft-hearted for this. If he saw the triplet queens, he might want to hold them, and if he held them, he might start to feel that they were his, instead of Fennbirn's. Queen Camille walked down the high-ceilinged hall of the black cottage, one hand out along the wall to steady her. The light from the lamps in the nursery cast warm yellow light, and inside, another bright fire crackled against the cold. Much like Camille's king consort, Willa slept upright in a chair, though not, perhaps, as prettily. Willa's mouth hung open, and her head fell over to the side. Her snore sounded like a pig, searching excitedly for mushrooms. Camille crept past. The newborn queens in the bassinets were dressed in black and affixed with the colors of their gifts. Blue buttons for elemental Mirabella, and a purple patch for poisoner Arsinoe. Pretty green ribbons for tiny naturalist Katharine. Even the bassinets had been decorated with items associated with each gift. A cloud-shaped pillow, a mobile hung with snakes and spiders, and a quilt embroidered with flowers. "Enjoy the colors, little queens," Camille whispered. "Soon enough, it will all be black, black, black." She looked down on their sleeping faces, red and wrinkled, and angry-looking even at birth. She did not blame them. Their lives would not be easy, and then 2 lives would be over. Camille was a poisoner, like Queen Nicola and Queen Sylvia before her. 3 generations of poisoner queens, almost a dynasty. But instead of growing stronger, it seemed that the blood of the poisoner queens grew thinner. The Arryns flourished in their power, as well as other poisoner families and